cruise news time. Well, there is a lot going on. First, Norwegian Cruise Line out today, canceling some more cruises as they try to get restarted. I've got information on all of Norwegian's cruise ships. And then Carnival, they dropped their health protocols yesterday, and it's worth going through. We got to talk about what Carnival is doing for their health protocols for the restart. And we know now when the first test cruise will be for Royal Caribbean, and wonder why it's taken so long. Is it the CDC? Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. Well, it's May the 26th. It's a Wednesday, and the restart of cruising is ramping up fast and furious, hot and heavy, all of those things. And so big stories from all the three major cruise lines today: Norwegian Cruise Line, Carnival Cruise Line, and Royal Caribbean International. All three different kind of stories. I'll make sure I timestamp this if you want to jump around. I feel like this could be a little long. But first, let's talk about the big announcement from Norwegian Cruise Line today. They're announcing further suspension of sailings, which AKA that means some cruises are getting canceled. But they're also touting their restart of cruising. And one of the major things that's happened is they are dropping Jamaica as a home port for the Norwegian Joy. Let's jump into the computer and talk about what they have shown us this morning. Okay, here we go. Suspended sailing information updated today in conjunction with our third return to sail announcement. We've extended our voluntary temporary suspension of 8 of our 17 ships listed below. Fortunately, we have announced the return to sail plans in the Caribbean, Alaska, and the Mediterranean for 5 remaining ships: the Epic, the Gem, the Getaway, the Jade, and the Bliss. Ready, set, explore, right? So it's a tempered message. It's good and it's bad. There's some extended suspensions, but we got some cruises coming. All right, so here's the ones that got suspended further. So I would love to hear in the comments if you were on any of these sailings before this date. Is it cancellation day? We commiserate with you. These are the ships that are extended their suspension. Pride of America, that's the one that sails in Hawaii. Their sailings won't start until October of 2021. The Norwegian Escape, not starting until November of 2021. The Joy, it was going to start in Jamaica. Jamaica is gone. It's not going to happen. They're moving the crew off of the Joy onto the ships that are going to be servicing Alaska. And so the Joy, its restart date pushed out until October. Norwegian Pearl, December of 2021. The Jewel, not starting back up until January 2022. The Spirit, not starting until late January 2022. The Sun, about middle of January 2022, and then a single October the 24th Norwegian Bliss cruise is happening. Now, there are some cruise ships that their schedule was not adjusted. They'd already been suspended through July, but they're still on the board for August and September. The Norwegian Sky will be taking off at the end of August. Norwegian Star, September the 23rd. Norwegian Dawn, September the 26th. Norwegian Breakaway, October the 17th, and Norwegian Encore, October the 28th. Some of these ships will be sailing out of Florida. They've got Miami home ports. So the restart of cruising in the U.S. for Norwegian will start happening in August, but this is the latest on these. And then, as they highlighted the ships that they've targeted for their restart, we have the Epic, the Gem, the Getaway, the Jade, and the Bliss. The Bliss will be the Alaska cruise ship. That's starting in August the 7th. The Bliss will sail Alaska with, I would assume, some of the crew members from the Joy. The Jade is going to start in the Mediterranean toward the end of July. The Getaway will be in the Med in September. The Norwegian Gem, that is the Caribbean cruise ship. So they dropped Jamaica, but they're still holding on to cruises leaving from the Dominican Republic on the Gem. That's starting up in August. That will be cruises in the Caribbean. And then the Epic will be sailing in the Med in September of 2021. So that certainly is a big announcement from Norwegian Cruise Line. Now they seem set and ready to go for the restart of cruising. Now it's just executing their plan, making sure that everything is approved by the CDC, getting all their ducks in a row, and yeah, we're on our way to the restart of cruising. Now, as we move into story number 2, let me take a quick second to invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I tell you what, my commitment to you is to bring you everything that's going on in that cruise life as soon as I know it, and you can help me out by subscribing. Be notified when the new videos come out by subscribing with the notification bell, and help us out here over at Lido Loca. It doesn't cost anything, and it helps us out, like I said. Thank you in advance. All right, let's move into story number 2, and it's a big one. Carnival Cruise Line announcing their health protocols for the restart of cruising, and there's really not much mention of a vaccine, so I know that will make some people excited. So let me tell you how Carnival is going to do it to make their cruise ships safe. Let's jump back into the computer. All right, here we are on the COVID-19 legal notices, and this is the COVID-19 guest protocols. Have fun, be safe. That's trademark. That's their new phrase that they're using for their cruise protocols. Have fun, be safe. These are the guest protocols, and it's real simple. Look, I'll just scroll through it real quick. We'll be able to go through it really quick. That's all there is to it. Let's talk about it from start to finish. Here we have booking. All guests should carefully review pre-booking and pre-travel health advice on our website and the website of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. So know what you got to know before you go. Enhanced health screening. Every guest will undergo enhanced pre-embarkation health screenings, including 100% COVID-19 testing prior to embarkation. Touchless temperature checks and health questionnaires. We will refer anyone with signs and symptoms of COVID or who are identified at risk for additional medical screening before allowing them to board. Secondary screening and health checks throughout the cruise will be performed when necessary. Contact tracing is planned for every cruise. So this is the meat and potatoes of their health protocol. They will rely heavily on testing every passenger before they get on the cruise ship to minimize the risk of COVID being on the cruise ship. It's going to be a heavy-duty embarkation process, health questionnaire, temperature screening, and then if anything seems off, they're going to send you to secondary health screening, and they'll make the determination whether or not you can board. This is pretty significant. We know that the vaccines are not 100% effective. We know that there are breakthrough cases where people that are vaccinated do have the virus, and so the approach by Carnival here is like, look, our approach is to keep the COVID off the cruise ship, and so let's test everybody. Let's catch the regular cases, let's catch the breakthrough cases, and then that way we'll be safe. And then this also means that you don't really have to be vaccinated. And look, I think it's important for me to say these are the protocols that were released yesterday for just right now. These could change, and so even though this is what the is, you know, here on May the 26th, as we get closer to cruising in the U.S., maybe it changes, but for now, this is what they gave us yesterday. You got to keep that in mind as we go through all of this. Now let's talk social distancing. Responsible social distancing. I would say if this is another big pillar in their plan, physical distancing will be maintained throughout check-in and embarkation and will be required in the terminals, on board ships, on private islands, and during shore excursions. This will be managed by reducing the flow of groups and through reduced occupancy, staggered activity times, and closely managed group size. Entertainment programs and restaurants will be designed to enhance physical distancing. So they are leveraging physical distancing as the main protocol. If COVID gets on board, if it gets past the testing process, because tests aren't 100% effective either, if COVID gets past the testing process, we're going to use physical distancing to keep to reduce the spread if it happens. Now they've got to overlay on top of that a masking policy when physical distancing can't be maintained or when mandated by health authorities. Masks will be required on board, at private islands, and during shore excursions. Masks must be worn in terminals during embarkation and disembarkation. There's going to be a masking policy to go along with the other protocols. The big key there, when physical distancing can't be maintained. So if you're outside and you're away from other people, certainly you'll be able to take off your mask. I would assume if you're chilling on the promenade deck by yourself in and there's nobody within 6 feet around you, you'd also be able to take off your mask. But anytime that you're in some sort of crowd, whether it's indoor or outdoor, you're going to be asked to mask up. Personal hygiene. Guests will be encouraged to use the hand washing sinks and hand sanitizing dispensers at the venue entrances and in high traffic areas throughout the ship. Guests will be asked to follow health information about the ways to stay healthy on board and when ashore through daily programming, entertainment systems, announcements, in stateroom literature, and our app. There will be no self-service for meals. We'll do the serving for you. So it sounds like there's probably going to be a buffet component where the staff serves you. Obviously, there's going to be main dining room, all that kind of stuff. Safe shoreside experience. Sally sells safe shoreside experiences with seashells. Say that a lot. Safe shoreside experiences. We're working with local authorities, destinations, and tour operators so that the enhanced health and safety measures on board are maintained ashore. We will follow the health protocols for every port we visit. There may be a reduction in capacity of excursions and tour vehicles. Only shore excursions that comply with our pre-established protocols will be permitted, with strict adherence required of all guests and denial of reboarding for any guests who do not comply. This could be tricky here, right? So they're saying that third-party vendors could apply and say these are our health protocols, and Carnival could approve or disapprove. But whatever the rules are, and it's very clear here, whatever the rules are, if you don't follow the rules, you could get kicked off or denied boarding back onto the cruise ship after a short excursion. There is a special section here on Alaska. I will cover that. There is a vaccine component for Alaska, and there is a no kids component for Alaska if they can't get vaccinated. So I want to make sure that I cover that so nobody really books a cruise if they don't know. But as far as everything else, the cruises out of Florida that should happen sometime in July, that should happen going forward August, September, this is the way the Carnival is going to do it. This is probably different than some other cruise lines that we've seen, definitely different than what Norwegian would be doing. They will be going with a vaccine policy, and like my cruise that's coming up in the Bahamas, it's a fully vaccinated cruise, and so they're going with the idea of, look, everybody's vaccinated. Sure, there might be some breakthrough cases, but the CDC says that these breakthrough cases are insignificant. They're really only tracking severe cases that result in death, and those cases are super minimal. So they are giving the guidance that vaccinated people can commingle without mask and don't need a test to travel. And so this is what's happening on at least Royal in the Bahamas. I don't know if that'll translate to Royal in the United States, but definitely different approaches. A testing approach versus a vaccination approach. Carnival is going the testing approach, and that does open the door for people who aren't vaccinated. It makes way for kids. And so again, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. But let me tell you about Carnival's Alaska protocols. Protocols for Alaska summer 2021 sailings. Alaska cruises are available for guests who have received their final dose of an approved COVID-19 vaccine at least 14 days prior to the beginning of the cruise and have proof of vaccination. This is a big thing. I said the other day that if you want to be fully vaccinated and you've had the Pfizer vaccine, it takes about 35 days. And people rightly pointed out that to get both doses of the Pfizer, it really only takes 21 days. You get your first shot, you wait 3 weeks, you take your second shot. But as you see in the documentation here and what's been published everywhere, to be considered fully vaccinated, you have to wait 14 days after your second shot. So you really need 35 days to be considered fully vaccinated. That is the requirement of Carnival. All guests, including children who are eligible age for vaccine, will need to show proof of vaccination. I'm not sure what that age will be. When it comes up to August, I believe that the Pfizer vaccine will be approved for 12-year-olds. And so that may mean that 12-year-old and above are all eligible for vaccine. And so for these cruises, they will need a vaccine. You want to check with Carnival on that, whether it's the 12-year-old or the 15-year-old. But this means, regrettably, guests who are not vaccinated, including children who are not yet eligible for a vaccine, will not be permitted to sail. So there will be some group of kids on this, for these Alaska cruises, that if it's 12 or under, or if it's 15 or under, they will not be able to get on this cruise. So if you're thinking about taking your kids on an Alaska cruise on Carnival this summer, pay attention to this. And then here we go. Our Have Fun, Be Safe guidelines for Alaska voyages incorporate guidance from the CDC and Alaskan officials. So they're telling you that, there are some other outside influences that are determining these policies. Don't be mad at us if you don't like them. You could maybe read that into it. All guests will be asked to confirm their status as fully vaccinated for COVID-19 during check-in and provide proof of vaccination in advance of boarding. As a reminder, fully vaccinated means the final dose of the vaccine was administered 14 days prior to the embarkation. It's important for our guests to come prepared, as those who arrive at embarkation terminal without the proper proof of vaccination will not be able to cruise, and no refund will be issued. That's pretty hardcore. If you sign up for one of these cruises, you're signing up that you will show up with your vaccine proof, and if you don't show up with your vaccine proof, you get no cruise and no money back. Face masks for all forms of transportation are still required by the CDC. However, protocols are evolving, and as changes are announced, we will share more information as soon as possible. This is what we see going on with Royal Caribbean. As the protocols from the CDC have evolved, so has like Royal's celebrity policy and Royal's regular policy. Like right now on celebrity, they announced that they don't have to wear face masks if they're vaccinated. Still fingers crossed, 17 days to cruise, waiting for that to be an announcement on our Royal cruise out of the Bahamas. That hasn't happened yet, but Carnival's saying, yeah, by the time we cruise, there may be some face mask guidance that's better or different. While guests will be vaccinated, we will follow protocols and requirements for each destination while ashore in Alaska. Remember, these restrictions are under the control of the local government and are subject to change without advance notice, so we encourage guests to come prepared for potential mask requirements ashore. Please note these guidelines are subject to change. So yeah, when you go to Alaska or really anywhere else, you might run into a circumstance where you get off the cruise ship and there is a mask requirement. Carnival's just saying, don't be surprised. Again, local governments make their own rules, and you may need some face masks. Okay, so there is Carnival's protocols. You got protocols for the non-Alaska sailings. You got protocols for the Alaska sailings. Even inside of Carnival, they're taking two different approaches. A testing approach for the U.S. cruises, which leaves a lot of leeway for people who want to be vaccinated or unvaccinated, relying heavily on testing, social distancing, and some masking to keep COVID off the cruise ship. And then you got the Alaska protocols, which they will take the vaccine approach. All right, let's hit this last big story, exciting story. The very first test cruise for Royal Caribbean has been approved by the CDC. It only took like 2 days to get it approved. But why is it so far away from now? That's the question that's being asked. Here's the details. Royal Caribbean will do its first test cruise out of the port of Miami on the Freedom of the Seas on June the 20th, 2021. Now that's less than a month from now, but I've seen a couple commenters say, why is it pushed out so far? Is it that meddling CDC? No, there's no controversy here. This is the date that Royal Caribbean asks for. They asked for June the 20th, and so everything is moving forward. There's no impediments, and quick approval by the CDC. Let's focus here, folks. We're cruising again. Excited for Royal Caribbean. Boom, that's your cruise news. There was a pile of it. I hope you found value there. Please show your support for the show by hitting the like button. And honestly, if you don't, I'm going to take and hide your TV remote or your streaming device remote. How about that? This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.